Okay, I won't say anything else.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
Matthew.
Hello, Matt. We do a quick rundown of who's on the call by email. So if you have a chance, can you just email me that you're here so that I can give you credit for joining us today.
Okay.
Huh? No.
For folks that are on the call, you can either hit the mute button or *6 to mute your line. And then if you want to chime in, just hit *6 to unmute your line. Hope everybody is enjoying their day. I did a site visit in Florida and visited Veronica and Fort Myers last week. Glorious. About 80 degrees, and then I come back here and it was snowing yesterday and today in D.C., so such is life. All in all, things are well. Sorry about the postponing of the call, and I appreciate your flexibility. I guess the one announcement that I have for today is moving forward, just really trying to accurately project the capacity of organizations to meet the goals of the sub-grant agreements. So, as I think I mentioned last call, we discussed that matches should be made by the end of September this year so that they can reach their full 1-year mark by the time the end of the grant is complete. And so with that in mind, thinking about it in terms of, okay, how much time does it take to recruit a volunteer, onboard a volunteer, screen a volunteer, train a volunteer, and then match a mentor with a mentee. So throughout the month of March, I will be reaching out to everybody and seeing kind of the status of where each program is at, how many matches have been made, how many mentors have been recruited, what the current recruitment plan is, to see if we need to shuffle some matches from some agencies that may not be able to meet their current goal to agencies that have either already matched the amount of youth or are projecting to be able to make more matches. So that's kind of the one announcement that I wanted to share with everybody. So I will be reaching out to everybody individually and trying to set up a call, and I'll be reaching out in the next couple of days to set up a call at some point in the month of March to kind of check in. So just to prepare everybody so that you have that information. What else do I have to share? I think that's it for me right now. Like I said, I was able to do a site visit out in Fort Myers in the Diocese of Venice last week. And so, Veronica, are you on the line? Or not yet?
I'm here.
Sorry. Oh, you are? Okay, great. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your program and AFCAM and some of the successes that you've had with recruitment and maybe some of the barriers that you face and how you've overcome them?
Sure. Because we have other programs here at AFCAM, we have 4 other mentoring programs. We have Skills Female Mentoring for teen girls, Straight Talk Male Mentoring for boys. We have the All Stars mentoring program at the Pace Center for girls, and we have a group of Hispanic girls at the Nations Association, Nations All Stars Mentoring. So because we had those programs, we decided to only start with 6 youth in the CCUSA mentoring program and 6 mentees. For us here, recruiting was not as difficult as It might have been for some, and that's mainly because we're really involved in the community here with core groups and coalitions and advisory boards and after-school programs. So finding the mentors and the mentees was fairly easy for us. We matched fairly quick. Our training went well. Our mentors, something I saw that was very rare, they bonded. I mean, they just bonded as a group. And because of our community connections, and we have a very active board, we've been able to do some really great group events. They go to a professional hockey game on a regular basis. One of our board members got us all tickets to Dunk City's game, Florida Gulf Coast University, those of you who are into basketball. And we have a county commissioner who has invited the group out to go horseback riding and a day of barbecuing on his ranch. So we've been pretty fortunate as far as doing group events and bonding as a group and the training taking place and so forth. We did have a situation where we had an abrupt departure. One of our mentors had 2.5 jobs, and the one-on-one relationship suffered really bad, and of course we had to do the exit for the mentor. In the interim, I stepped in to keep the youth involved. I made the contact, I talked with the parents, made sure he was at events, supervised his presence and so forth. And we're in the process right now of training replacement mentor who will take over for him, the one that we lost. I would say one of the obstacles that we've had is in working with the mentors who submit their reports on what's going on with their youth, and most of the kids I know, their DAP is not true to their personalities and what's really going on with them. Most of our kids, with the exception of one, the results were all thriving, just thriving in every category, thriving. And that was not the case. So I asked for permission to test them again after I meet with the youth and the mentors and explain why it's necessary and the importance of honesty and so forth, because I believe the kids wanted to impress their mentors who sat with them as they took the test to make sure that they understood the questions and so forth. So I would think for me, if I say that there wasn't a major obstacle, it's being able to genuinely work with the kids and knowing what their issues are as it relates to the DAP, and then go from there. But overall, I would like to think that we're kind of doing okay. I'm very pleased with our mentors. We have parent support. We definitely have parent buy-in, and that's been really good for us.
Could I ask you a question? This is Beth from Chicago. I was just wondering, so did you redo the DAP, or you're saying you're going to redo it?
Going to. I had to get permission from Matthew because I wasn't sure if we could do it, and I don't know how that works with them. And I was thinking because we only had 6, there was only one young man, and I'm thinking maybe we should just do the ones that are questionable, because one young man, the young man that actually lost the mentor, he had quite a few vulnerable categories in there, and I'm thinking that his was the most honest. Everyone else was just thriving, and that was not true.
So a couple of things, Veronica. Thanks for sharing. That was perfect. One is, absolutely. So for those folks that get the DAP results back after I email you, and you look and you're like, nah, this doesn't sit right, I very much encourage you to follow up, let me know that the youth is going to take it again. Obviously, it's probably a defense mechanism that led the youth to answer the questions the way they did, So it's obviously sensitive in nature how it's approached, but really trying to give an understanding of developmental assets and why we're spending the time taking that evaluation, and why we're taking time to do it again so that we can do it right. Obviously, for us, the more accurate the data, the more useful it will be to tell the story. And so if something comes back to you from the DAP results and it's not accurate or not consistent with what you see, I would say trust that instinct. Let me know and see if there's a way to set up the mentee to retake the DAP.
Okay.
Matthew?
Yes.
Edgar out here in Stockton. So if that were the case, because I know that we do have, it just surprised me for one child that his score was perfect in one area. So that kind of shot up right away, and some of these kids are scoring kind of high. So, and I know that it doesn't coincide with some of the interviews and some of the surveys that we do out here. So that would be something that we just touch bases with you later down the road.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, the sooner that we're able to assess that the DAP is not accurate, I think the quicker we're able to retake the DAP, and then therefore that gives the most amount of time for the effectiveness of the relationship to be measured via the DAP evaluation tool.
Well, apparently this is a problem not just with mine, because I had wondered how to approach this. This is Jetty from Mississippi.
This is Stephanie from Massachusetts, and I think part of the issue is that it's a self-report essay. It's a self-report survey, which means that you're asking them directly, and they want to make themselves look good, and they also know that certain answers might, quote-unquote, get them into trouble or lead to follow-up questions and follow-up services. So I've been finding that almost all of my youth are scoring higher than I would expect, and the way that I'm using the information is that I'm combining it with my assessment and my intake, and then using that to kind of formulate what I view and what the parent views and what the mentor views as a more realistic service plan and goals for the mentoring relationship.
Yeah, Matthew. With regards to that, Edgar, out here in Stockton again, that is the case. Just because with one particular case, the mentor said, well, to me the DAP just takes a basic overview of some of the issues regarding certain structures, but with one mentee, it's particularly more behavioral things that he's dealing with. So it doesn't, according to him, I'm just saying what he's stating, is that it doesn't encompass because it's too basic as far as particular behavioral issues. So that high that they're scoring as they're thriving, because that's the way he answered them. So would that just mean retaking it, or just simply looking at some of the assessments and trying to figure out those antisocial behaviors or whatever you're trying to measure?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's two things at play here. One is kind of what Stephanie alluded to, in that how does one use the DAP results to create an effective service plan. I think what Stephanie's doing is spot on. So I would definitely, take every assessment with a grain of salt, especially when it is a self-report. The one thing I will, challenge is for folks to take the information that the mentees are, not being completely truthful in the DAP and try to take extra time in the implementation of the DAP to really get the youth to understand it. And so maybe if that takes an additional 2 matches for that to set in, then maybe take a little bit longer, or take a little longer to implement that first DAP, so that we have accurate results. Because ultimately, not only will the DAP results, can they be used for the service plan, but as we, as a national mentoring program, tell the story of the effectiveness, one of the things that we'll be using to tell the effectiveness of the story is the number of assets that have been acquired by the youth throughout the duration of the relationship. And so if there's an inaccurately high number of assets from the beginning, then not only are we making it difficult for ourselves, but we're not telling an accurate story. So I guess the challenge then is to really figure out a way, and maybe I can reach out to the Search Institute to see if they have any tips on how to really effectively administer and convey the importance of accuracy in the self-reporting of the DAP, and convince the youth that, yes, it's personal, yes, it's intimate, but rest assured that there will be no consequences by being truthful on this assessment. And I guess maybe one of the questions that I'll ask to the group then is there anybody that feels like they do implement the DAP well, that they have gotten accurate results for the youth that are being truthful and they have been vulnerable in reporting on the DAP, that they could share with folks on the call?
Well, this is Beth from Chicago. I would need to have them in front of me to kind of be as accurate as I could, but I do know something that I have done that I feel has helped them, my kids, be more vulnerable and open and honest. I do tell them the importance of telling the truth on this, and that there really is no right or wrong answer. It's just how it is for you right now. And who knows, things can change. I might give this to you a long time from now, and you might have a different answer. But I just stress, don't say what you don't. You'll be tempted to say what you think I want to hear. But I want to encourage you to be brave and just speak the truth and how it is for you. And they usually, I think I see real effort to, there'll be more pauses and say, I feel like be as vulnerable as they can manage.
Great, thanks, Beth. Anybody else?
This is Petrea from Tioga County in New York, and in regards to DAP, I don't know, was the last person done?
Yeah.
Okay. In regards to DAP, I've found a lot of success with my older youth, if they're over the age of 14. I think giving accurate answers from what I've looked at when I've reviewed it afterwards. But what I really struggle with is the youth that are 9 and 10 years old, having them actually understand the questions that are being asked.
That's
and I found with myself when I've been there, or the mentor, you have to try to reframe the question so that they can understand them. And I think that's a real struggle in getting an accurate answer, because they don't necessarily understand each statement, if that makes sense.
If I could piggyback on to that, this is Beth again. I have found too with my younger kids, and particularly, certain questions. There's something about do you get involved with social problems or something like that? And often I'll have kids say, "Oh, absolutely, yes," but they're talking about arguments between peers, or as opposed to I think what the intention of the question is. So I will reframe things too, but yes, definitely harder. The younger kids tend to be more concrete and don't always understand what's being asked.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the administration for the DAP, that I think it's like an 80 or 90-page document that I sent back last year, it talks about ways to administer it to folks that are below a 6th grade reading level, because I think that's to the level at which it tested as being effective. So again, affirming what it sounds like is being done by Beth in Chicago to kind of give examples or reframe the question in a way that the youth can understand it is helpful. Anybody else want to share their successes in implementing the DAP and getting what they would perceive as accurate results?
I think another thing, Matthew here again from Stockton, Edgar. One thing with our older youth, it was the same idea that they are understanding it more than the younger ones, and also knowing that you match the personalities right away. With our first match, they clicked right away because they have a lot of things in common. that they shared, and other ones that don't have as much things in common, so that are a little bit shy. It also, I think, depends kind of on the personality of the mentor. If they're helping them out with the DAP, I mean, that's what we kind of helping them out in a sense to try to understand it. That's the way kind of another thing that might factor into the success or not is how they can connect. With our younger ones, we found that the similar with what everybody else has been saying, that harder to understand, knowing that it's a sixth grade level and we're working with kids that are fourth and fifth, and let alone if they have problems in school with their reading comprehension, if they have lower, it's going to be even a tougher issue. So I agree with all that has been said, that the ones that are the older kids are understanding it more and can relate a little bit more as opposed to the younger ones. Thank you.
Thanks, Edgar. Anybody else want to chime in on successful DAP administration? All right, I will follow up with the folks over at Search Institute and see if they have any other tips or recommendations for administering the DAP, and then send that out to everybody.
Great, thanks.
Hi, this is Septim in Forward, and I just wanted to share some issues also we have here because we deal with refugee kids, and most of them, it has been so hard to find mentors who speak their languages. And even though they speak some English, they still have some communication issues, and some of them just choose not to communicate with their mentors because of the lack of vocabularies and so on. So I think we will need guidance, and most of them also have been going through many traumas, and you never know what's going on. You never know if it is a problem of the language. You never know if it's the communication lagging skills, or if it's something traumatic which is going on in their heart, and it's a big issue actually.
I'm sorry, who was just speaking?
Septim.
Oh, hi Septim, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So you are asking about the language barrier, and you serve refugee youth, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you're saying that there's a language barrier between the youth and the mentors, and that's a barrier for them to build a successful relationship. Am I hearing you correct?
Yes, actually it's on 3 levels. One of the problems we have is the language barrier. Our refugee kids are not really fluent in English, and most of the mentors we have, they are English-speaking mentors. And another issue is communication skills. Due to the way of life they grew up in, they really have less knowledge about solving problems collaboratively. So therefore, communication is also a big issue. And also, I was talking about some traumatic issues because of the life they went through. So sometimes it's so confusing for mentors to know why this child is acting like this. Some of them, they just keep quiet, or if they have an appointment to meet, sometimes they don't even communicate and cancel the appointment, and it's kind of frustrating for our mentors.
Team, I guess one of the quick things that I'll ask before we go on, and then maybe I can refer you to a few agencies that serve refugee youth that might be willing to chime in. But is that content that you cover in the training for the mentors, so that they know that these are some of the barriers that they'll face as their role of mentor?
We do cover that on the part of communication. We always cover that.
Okay, and even so, they're still feeling like they're frustrated.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if anybody wants to chime in now about solutions to help SEPTEAM, then we can take some time to do that. Otherwise, SEPTEAM, I'm happy to put you in contact with some of the other refugee programs that might be able to give you some tips about the communication barriers that you're facing with the mentees.
I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Hey, Matthew, this is Anita from Virginia. As you know, we serve a refugee population as well for our mentor programs here. And I kind of mirror what the gentleman said about having some language difficulties, but I make it very clear during the training that is going to be an issue, and a lot of these children are not fluent in English and don't have that conversational ability. So we spend a lot of time talking about how they can communicate, how they can keep their body language, what to expect in terms of any issues that the child might present to the mentor, and I think that's kind of helped for them to overcome some of those initial challenges that they see. The other thing is we also don't assign refugee children that are new to the program because of all the stuff that is going on around them, and they have so many new things that they have to adjust to. So we kind of look for kids that have already been here for about 6 to 8 months but still would benefit from a mentor and have some risk factors that are going on with them. So by then they at least have picked up some English from either the school or or from their foster homes. For the most part, there is no way you could serve a refugee population by speaking all the languages that the children present anyway. So even with the foster care program, that's kind of mirrored there because not all our caseworkers or foster families speak all the languages that we represent with our kids. So kind of looking at some of that and, perhaps matching the children after they've been here a while and got at least some conversational skills and probably stabilized a little bit emotionally seems to help our program at least.
Yeah, Anita, I think just to piggyback on that, the ability to identify the appropriate mentee, granted, I think that most youth would benefit from a mentor in their lives, but really identifying which youth are at the right level or the right time or the right place emotionally to actually benefit from having a mentor. I think that's an important distinction to make as well.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about helping SEPTEAM working with refugee youth and communication barriers?
This is Danielle from Oregon, and we also work with a refugee population. We're also struggling with the communication part. I think we actually only choose mentees that have been in the country a year or more, so they're already speaking English to some extent and can communicate with our mentors. However, part of that is they are still kids, and so the communication of them getting, on time to a meeting or actually showing up, or so that's kind of something that we're kind of navigating. So I'd be happy to talk with SEPTEAM and other programs that are working with refugees, possibly through email and stuff, that we can kind of combine our resources a little bit better.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Danielle. There should be an email in the folks that are providing refugee or services to refugee youth with all of the cohort of folks that are serving refugee youth. So if you look in your inbox or your deleted items, if you don't clear that out every day, I think I sent something a couple of months ago, but if you don't have that list, I'm happy to resend it. Any other thoughts on serving refugee youth? Okay. Jennifer, are you on the call?
Jen Thomas?
Jennifer Hill out of Baton Rouge. Sorry, Jen.
That's okay.
*6 to unmute, maybe. right,
this
maybe
is
we'll come
Lauren
back.
from Baton Rouge. I think Jennifer's having some problems. I can hear her in the next office over. Let me go try to help her with that.
No, not a problem. Thanks, Lauren. Let's see here. I will just give a quick update in the meantime. Crystal, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you want to kind of give an update from what's going on in southern Missouri?
Matthew?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. You can hear me now. This is Jennifer.
Oh, hey, Jennifer. Crystal, you mind holding on a second?
No, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, we just had a brief update as to what's going on with our program. We've had a lot of different things to occur, but overall everything is going well. We're in pretty much a fourth stage of our training. We were very fortunate to be able to train several people initially, but as time went on, which hasn't been very long ago, people have dropped out. So we're having some difficulties with the retention rate. And they've dropped out for various reasons. But I wanted to go back a little bit to a statement that was mentioned about the refugee population. That has been a very challenging area for us with some of the mentors that were trained in the program. And one important lesson that we learned from it is the importance of preparing for termination, whether the children and the mentors exit the program when the program ends or whether or not it's in the middle stage of it. And there was a particular incident that occurred in which the mentors said that they were no longer interested in working with the refugee population. The kids were attached because it had been a couple of visits, so they had started building a relationship, and one day they decided they no longer wanted to be mentors. Well, we felt that it had an adverse effect on both of the kids because they were a set of twins, and so we had a couple that was actually mentoring the set of twins. And it was very difficult for the parent as well as the kids to accept that form of rejection. And so we had no idea that that would be coming so soon. So maybe to all of the other programs out there, make sure that when you're having your training, you talk about the importance of re-victimization and not necessarily allowing that to occur with termination. Also, there will be times that termination is necessary because we also had a mentor who went through some personal things that, were beyond her control. That's different, and then we can set systems up so that we can work through a termination process so the child won't feel abandoned. But in that situation, in working with the refugee family, we had to do a little repairing and probably still have to do some repairs because we're linking those kids to another mentor, and hopefully there will be no early termination on that end. So I really wanted to share that with you because it was very difficult for not only the mentee but the staff as well. With the transitions that we've had going on in our program, I think staff-wise it's been difficult because you just need a level of continuity of care for the mentors that you already have in your program, continuity of care for the parents, as well as the mentees. So we're working very hard on, we can't eliminate transitions when it occurs with staff, but we're fortunate we have Lauren that's a new staff member that will be doing some coordination with us as well, and we're hoping that, she's with us throughout the duration of the program. The peer support group, we have that scheduled, and we call it Group Connections. And I think that that's very, very important because when you work with mentors, a lot of people are professionals already. So, some things that I've experienced is that they may not tell you that they're uncomfortable initially or that they're having difficulty building a relationship with the child or with the parent because they feel that your expectations are so great for them that, they don't want you to know that information. But I guess just making yourself available all the time for them initially is very, very important as well because I think that helps them to keep the momentum up and also fully engage in the program and buy into the program. I'm going on and on because there's so many different things that I just kind of wanted to mention of things that we've experienced. In reference to the DAP, again, and I did hear someone on the call earlier mention that it was very challenging for the younger population. We haven't had a challenge with kids who are older who can have some dialogue and immediately establish rapport with their mentor, but for the younger children, it's a little difficult because they fully don't understand all of the questions, so it takes a little longer than what we had anticipated. I mean, it's been taking like 45 minutes to an hour, to administer that DAP, and I don't think the time frame, really allowed for that length of time. So I think it all depends on just building the relationship, and then children, are more likely to participate in it. I don't know whether or not, and I'll have to talk to Matthew a little bit more about it, I don't know whether or not we're doing it too early in the match, even though it's supposed to be a pre, and we have to do it early, but I think maybe some dialogue or just some relationship building has to occur so that they can fully participate in the DAP and really understand the significance of it. I think that's it right now. One of the things that I really like about our program is that all of our children, all of our mentees are actually enrolled in program services already established at Catholic Charities. And so that interagency collaboration is really good. And so we know a lot about the families, and we incorporated that social history. We know a lot about the families and the child even before they're entered into the mentoring program. So that collaboration interagency is going extremely well, and the trainings are going extremely well as well. It's just the recruitment and retention that are great areas. Any questions?
Thanks Jennifer. A couple of things, and then I'll let somebody weigh in on the retention piece. One, I think I visited Baton Rouge back in January, and I affirmed the way that they look out for one another as far as inter-office interaction. They do a great job teams working together, and have done a great job leveraging the other services available within their Catholic Charities agency, and really providing good wraparound case management services to the mentees and the families of the mentees. And then just about as far as the DAP administration that you mentioned, I think that we are still aiming for sometime between the first and third meeting, but I think that the challenge is at least what I'm hearing is, if at that third meeting there still isn't that level of trust either between you and the youth or the mentor and the youth, where you feel like the youth has a good understanding of the importance of the DAP, and that they will be truthful in conveying what's happening in their lives, then I think it would be important to give it another couple weeks until that understanding is assured, at least to the best of your ability, as opposed to just meeting that first three match deadline, because that's artificial in nature. I think we created that just to kind of capture the most assets gained. But like I said, if that initial number isn't accurate, then it does us no good. So just want to make sure that that's clear. Jennifer, you talked about some difficulties with retaining mentors. Now, before I let other folks chime in, can you just be clear where you feel like you're having the most difficulty? Is it during the training? Is it immediately after the training? Is it after they've been matched?
It's been, I would say, all three in some instances, Matthew, because initially when people come in for the initial interview, of course they have to complete, a lot of forms as it relates to our volunteer component, and just signing up to be a volunteer and completing all of the information, police checks, background checks, everything that's required. But what we've been noticing is that I'm not sure whether or not people really understand initially when they are interested in it or express it. I don't know if they understand the commitment level that, we're asking for a lengthy commitment for the most part. And once they go through the training and see how intense it is, I think it may be a little more than what they bargained for. So we can pretty much tell now, since we know what to look for, people who we feel that are really motivated and really want to give something back as it relates to volunteering, and people who are a little ambivalent. And so for the people who, just abandon the kids, we felt and we did see a little ambivalence with them initially. So I'm thinking on our end, we probably need to be a little more cognizant of that and pay more attention to the ambivalence when we see that happening and explore their commitment level a little bit more. So I would think that it can occur for us. It's occurred once they've completed the training. And right now we're noticing that even though it appeared to be a good fit with the match, I think there are some mentors who just don't fit with that child after they've had an opportunity to engage. I'm not sure whether or not it's because of family dynamics, because, we have a lot of them as well with the clients that we serve. And, I'm kind of noticing with this one particular mentor, and we're having a group connection meeting this week, so we'll be able to explore it just a little bit more for support. And that's why I mentioned earlier, those support groups are very, very critical to kind of keep them connected. But I really think that this one mentor, this kid probably has a little bit more than what he bargained for, even though we have staff support. And so I'm not sure, how we're going to work with that situation right now, but to just have him engage in some honesty, just, hey, do you think this is a little too much for you? The match is not working right now, so it may be some adjustments that we need to make to be a little proactive so that he won't abandon that particular child. And the child has a lot of issues, more than, we were aware of, issues that are just coming out. But this is a child that's between that 16, 17 age range where, you either get them in or you lose them.
Okay. Thanks, Jennifer. Any comments?
Did I answer that question, Matthew?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Any comments or reactions to Jennifer's?
I have one. This is Jetty from Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
When we started in July, we did all of our training and everything, and we've had a lot of activities, and everything was going well until January. And between the last of December and the last of January, I had one mentor who found out she had cancer and was having to go through surgery. I had another one that fell out of the porch and broke her hip. Okay, I had a third one that because of medical conditions had to quit. So I've lost 3 of my 7 original mentors. We recruited some more, and of those I've had 2 that have had to drop out because of mental problems. So I'm in the process of recruiting again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we anticipated those life-altering things that occur, with the mentors as well, but it's a reality, and so we can only do the best that we can with it because some of those unforeseen things, we just don't see them coming. We also had a mentor that lost a child, during pregnancy, and so, again, the life-altering situations, we really can't do anything about those. However, we can try to plan for people just, abandoning programs. But I think throughout this mentoring thing, it will be transition. So, again, stressing your situation, that I don't see anything that could have been done, proactively with that, or, I don't see anything that could have been done with that. Good thing that those things were detected, on the mental health piece, not the accident or incident piece, but I think that in our recruitment efforts and in training efforts, just continue to stress the importance of consistency and that commitment that we're asking for and the reality of that. Otherwise, I don't see anything. If anybody else can think of anything that we can do proactively, regarding those situations that she mentioned, let me know as well.
This is Stephanie from Massachusetts, and I know it's a little bit tricky because so many of us are struggling to find mentors, but what I find helpful is to really view the 8 hours of training as part of the interview process instead of assuming that everyone who gets trained is automatically going to be matched with a mentee. And I think if you view it in that way, it gives you a little extra time to screen out those mentors who might not be so excited and ready for this opportunity at this moment in their lives. I think earlier on Matthew shared the statistic that a match that lasts less than 6 months can actually be harmful to the youth. So what I do is I share that statistic with my mentors in training, and I tell them that I would much prefer them to tell me now that, you're still a great person and you're still interested in volunteering, but now might not be the right time for you, rather than risk that 6-month dropout, which can actually damage the youth. And I find that when the mentors hear that and are given that extra little out, that can make them say not now but maybe later so that they don't feel guilty saying no. I find that usually 1 or 2 of my mentors at each training drop out. And to me that's a success because I would rather them drop out during the training piece than once I match them with a youth.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a good
point.
Hi, this is from Baltimore. And Stephanie, that is spot on. I really love that because I think that the screening happens all the way up until when that mentee is introduced to that mentor, and that it works. It really works. And I think, just to make a point, giving the mentor permission even to bow out before being introduced to a mentee is so important. And so our process actually is a little lengthy because of all of that, because they know once I introduce them to the mentee that they're in it. And so we are, like I said, we have a very long process from interview to match. It can go 3 months.
And I think that's beneficial because if someone is willing to stick through the 3 months before they even get matched, they're much more likely to continue with the match for a full year, even though our instincts as coordinators might be, let's rush this and get them matched as quickly. I find it's almost beneficial when it does take several months from the first interview with the mentor to actually meeting the youth.
And especially if you explain to the mentor that this is a time for them to get to know the staff and the program, and if you provide opportunities, whether it's a special event, but somehow connect them into the program before meeting a mentee, they're starting to build relationship with staff or others that are with your agency. Maybe it's a training of some sort, but building that relationship prior to introducing to the mentee can go a long way. That's all.
Great, thanks. Crystal, there's about 10 minutes left. Can you give us a quick update on what's happening in southern Missouri?
Absolutely. Right now we are in the process of matching more of our at-risk youth with our volunteers. We have the capacity in our program for 30 matches, and at this point we should be around our halfway point in a couple of weeks. One of our biggest obstacles was getting the schools locally on board with us, and I'm not sure if it was the Catholic Charities being an issue with the public schools. I'm not real sure what the holdup was. However, yesterday, with the help of everybody over email the last couple of weeks giving me ideas, I got 13 referrals in yesterday. So it's been magnificent, a good turnaround for us. Some of our biggest barriers are just that we're covering a 4-county area, and we are in rural Missouri. So for me to get from one place to another is at least, a 20-minute drive. And transportation is a big issue for a lot of our youth and their parents. So lumping in group activities with training, so they're not making as many trips into town. We're trying to just overcome some of these hurdles. What else do we need, Matthew?
Could I ask where you get your where you're recruiting the mentors?
Well, we started with just some obvious putting ads in the bulletins with all the Catholic churches in the area. Then we went through, and I had a couple of articles written in the newspaper, so that helped out. And I called radio stations. They were able to do free PR for us, little public service announcements. And then we just did random mailings to churches in the four-county area, which took a lot of time, actually, because you wouldn't believe how many churches there are down here. That's probably everywhere. But we did it to raise awareness about the program and to recruit volunteers. And a good, probably half of what we've got right now actually came from those mailings to the churches.
Oh.
From youth groups that they put together, the adults that work with those youth groups have volunteered.
You said about half of them have come from the random mailings to churches?
Yes.
Oh.
Now, Crystal, just to be clear, those aren't all Catholic churches, right? Just so people.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right.
No, the actual group, the youth group, the adults that are working with the youth group, those folks that we got are actually from a little Baptist church. They've already been mentoring kids in the schools, and they thought it would be great to partner up with somebody and do it legitimately. So we've got folks from all different kinds of religious backgrounds, and that's really the thing I like to push more than anything is this is not a Catholic program. This is not about Catholicism at all, and we want everybody to welcome and to work together.
Folks, I apologize about the beep. My guess is that we're on hold, so just a kind, subtle reminder, if you have to step away from the call, you can put your phone on mute or just hang up and call back in. So, sorry about that, Crystal. Thanks for plowing through.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other comments?
Well, I was two things. One, we're starting to develop more MOUs. We've got one that will be coming through next week. I'm going to meet with the executive director of the YMCA locally. We have one with a local church to use their meeting room and to support the program, and one with another agency that's kind of in the works. So it's exciting to get that rolling. But I also wanted to talk about, just for a second, the other folks were talking about the DAP, and I think the difference in how I do it, I don't treat it near as formally as maybe we should. But with the younger kids, it's very informal. We sit, because I go to their homes because transportation is an issue. I meet the mentor at their home, and we do it in the comfort of their living room usually, and we talk through quite a bit of it. So we do rephrase it a lot, but we're also asking them to tell us stories after every few questions to kind of, well, what do you mean by that? Tell me how that happened. And then they're elaborating, and we get a clearer picture of what's going on in their life.
Thanks, Crystal. Does anybody have any other questions or comments for Crystal and the transportation barriers that she's overcoming in rural Missouri?
Well, Matthew here and Edgar in Stockton. I just wanted to add to the recruitment part. What we did as an agency is we went to the local college here, and they have a honors organization, and then also they have a person that coordinates with all the clubs on campus for a local community college, and we met with their leaders, and it's just been a fast email through all their clubs, and then doing like a 3-4 minute presentation with this academic honor society, and we got most of our mentors through there as opposed to the other county, and so that was a really good one-on-one. Noticing that through all the feedback that everybody has been doing, the bulletin, the radio, we've done the whole things, but for our program, it just seems like more person to person. We've been able to get more in a very diverse population, being that it's a community college, and there's students that are serious because they're taking their academics into consideration. So, and throwing out another idea, if there are any local colleges or local universities within that, and trying to establish the connection with some of them has worked as far as recruiting. Thank you.
Could I ask one question? I loved
Yes.
what you said. That's a great idea with the community colleges. You said one of the contacts within the community college, you said someone who coordinates activities with the communities?
Well, yeah, they have an activity coordinator in the community college, and what they do is their student organizations have a collaborative, and where all the leaders of all the clubs on campus meet. And so that originally was where I was supposed to go, but they had canceled that meeting. So that was originally where I was supposed to go. And then there was another one where they have an honor society, which is based on academic achievement. Basically, you have a 3.5 GPA and above, and you're in that honor society, or what they call it. And so they're really, really students that are really serious and have that academic commitment. And we were able to recruit at least 6 or 7 and interview at least upcoming 4.
Wow.
So that's something that was a really good lead, and it was just very, very thorough, and it was just a 3-minute presentation, and then I stayed throughout the whole meeting, and after I got quite a few people to fill out the forms and started to set up interviews on the spot.
Wow.
So that really helped.
Great, thank you.
No problem. You're welcome.
Matthew.
Any other comments before we wrap up?
Just one thing, Matthew.
Oh, hi, Jetty.
Hi. Okay, this is not about what we were just talking about. It goes back to our dropouts. Do we have some sort of form, or should we make some sort of form for official withdrawal from the program?
Yeah, I'll follow up with you afterwards. There should be a closure policy and procedure that kind of provides opportunity for feedback as well as an evaluation of the program.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Yes is the short answer. Other things, quickly before we sign off, for folks that get Charities USA, 3 of the programs that participated in the National Mentoring Month, what's the right word? National Mentoring Month, they were highlighted in Charities USA. So kudos to those agencies, and thanks for your willingness to share your story. Hopefully we'll be able to continue to highlight mentoring programs in the upcoming issues of Charities USA in upcoming years. Also, there was a article about health. Lauren, are you still on the call?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to tell folks a little bit about this?
Sure. What I can do, Matt, is and I think you have the link too, but it's a really nice resource from the Harvard School of Public Health. They put it out through a grant. It's called Eat Well, Stay Active, Have Fun, A Guide for Mentors. So it's a great resource to put in the activities you might give to a new match. And it's that whole movement of, eating healthy and getting mentees and walking and doing good health habits.
Great. Now, Lauren, did you say that you're going to send that out to the group, or?
I'll send you the link and you can forward it.
Perfect.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Any final words from anybody? Okay. Well, thanks everybody for sticking on the call. I will be following up in the upcoming days to schedule a call in March, and I'll be talking to you then. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye, Matt.
Bye bye.